Welcome to Free to Flourish Radio with me, Gemma Sands. This is your place to come and be inspired and empowered to live a heart-led life. Each week you can expect soulful conversation on topics like holistic wellness, living with intention, conscious business, and how to create life by your own design. So get cozy and let's jump into this week's episode. Hi everyone and welcome to this episode. Goodness me, it has been a long time since I've been here in this space with you. And that hasn't been intentional. That's really just been down to circumstances and things that have been going on for me and making some very conscious decisions about where I place my energy. But I am back today and I'm committing to a much more regular schedule of posting episodes. So I hope that that you'll stick around and that you'll listen in each week. I'm super grateful for you and for the fact that you've been holding space for me. And yeah, just excited to be back here. So today's episode is going to be a little bit different because I basically want to share some personal lessons and things that have been coming up for me, things I've been working through, things I've been learning, just all of the kind of personal growth side of what's been going on for me. And I want to share it because I hope that perhaps you will get some insights from it that you can apply to your own life and that it will just help in some way. So if you've been listening for a little while, then you will know quite a bit about my journey already and how I've built up my own life and business coaching business over the last 6 years. Can you believe I had my 6-year freedom anniversary just last week? So that's 6 years since I left my corporate job and I left my life in London and I moved and I had no plan and no idea other than I just knew that what I was doing wasn't working and there had to be more. And so over 6 years, I built up my coaching practice. I built up my business and my online presence and my community and my tribe, and you guys are a big part of that. And then over the last sort of year, it's not been a full year actually, it's been probably 7-8 months, I started to really look at what I was doing with my business and more specifically how it was making me feel. And I felt a little bit like something was missing. So I did a lot of soul searching and I was presented with an opportunity, which was to look at building an arm of my business that was centered around essential oils. So I was using doTERRA essential oils. I was absolutely in love with them. They were changing my entire life and wellness and health. And the opportunity was presented to actually look at using doTERRA as a platform for business. So I jumped on that. I said yes. And really, that's where my time and my effort has been going in the past few months. That's really what I've been focusing on building. And the reason for that is because, very simply, it absolutely lights me up. I get up every day just so excited to get to work in my business. So I've had that going on. I've still been coaching clients. And in the middle of all of this, I have also been caring for my mum, who'd had a double hip replacement at quite a young age. So it's been quite difficult for her. She's very active and I've just been kind of supporting her. She's also been living with us for a couple of months. So everything's kind of been turned on its head. There's been lots of changes to routines. There's been a lot of extra responsibility and things to really focus on. And so there's been a lot of personal challenges and personal lessons that have come out of this period. And that's really what I want to share with you today. So I want to start a little bit by talking about boundaries. And this is something that I have been quite challenged with over the last few months. Obviously, we've had an extra person here in our house. For those who don't know, I have 2 stepchildren who are 14 and 12, so they're kind of teenage age now. I have 2 dogs who they require quite a lot of attention, let's put it that way. They are both rescue dogs and they've each had their own their own sort of issues. So there's a lot of responsibility around that. And obviously we've had an extra person living with us as well. So everything's kind of been turned on its head. And in no way has it been difficult. There have been no real issues with any of it, but I've had to learn a lot about the importance of boundaries, and more specifically, I've had to learn a lot about the importance of asking for help when I need it. And this is not something that comes naturally to me. I am the person that likes to be taking care of everyone else. I like to make sure that everyone else is first, and usually my needs kind of come towards the bottom of the list. And I've certainly been working on that over the past few years. I have, I have my kind of self-care routines and my morning ritual and all of that sort of stuff, making sure that I get space for myself and that kind of thing. But I really am not very good at asking for help when I need it. And over the past few months, I've needed help because my time and my attention has been split in so many different ways, looking after people in my business, looking after people at home, looking after people just generally. And I knew I was getting to a point where if I was stretched any further, I was going to start breaking down a little bit. So I had to take the really uncomfortable step of asking my family for help, asking them to help out more around the house and do things that they don't normally have to do. Asking, my partner Greg to take a little bit extra of the load that I was bearing all by myself. And it was really, really terrifying for me, which I found really interesting. And I've kind of had to dig into that a lot because it really came from this place, this fear of, firstly, if I ask people for help, then that means that I'm not doing well enough. It means that there are cracks in my little persona of everything. Saying that out loud now seems ridiculous, but this is all of the kind of thing that came up for me from this. So it's been really interesting to look at that. But it goes even deeper because as I started to dig into this and to understand why I was finding it so hard to ask for support and to have boundaries around things, I came to realize that I was actually quite blocked to receiving help, to receiving support, to actually just receiving anything. Because when I started to look into this whole receiving aspect, I realized that I'm blocked to it in my business, I'm blocked to it in my relationships. And it's been interesting to sort of uncover and unpick that. And as I've started to do that, I've had more and more conversations with other people who also have this kind of issue around receiving and around allowing things to flow in. And I think what I've kind of seen, a common theme, is that we associate receiving with the story that it has to be hard. So it has to be hard to make money. Finding a loving relationship is really hard. These are like the things that we tell ourselves that block us to actually receiving the things that we so deeply desire. So it's been really interesting to look at that because I think for me on a personal level, I have probably blocked myself off to receiving for most of my... And so I kind of found myself doing it in that I was kind of blocking off receiving help and support that was being offered to me. But I've also found myself doing it in my business, and particularly as my doTERRA business begins to grow and expand, and I'm seeing some real growth in that at the moment. It's been really challenging for me to just let that flow. And I suppose it's a different business model to what I've always been used to because it's very much based on residual income. And so that flows to me each month. But I've been making it so much harder than it needs to be because my underlying story is it's really hard to make money. It can't be this easy or this enjoyable. So that's just something I've kind of been working through. And I wanted to share that because if you're finding yourself in that place where either you don't want to kind of let go of that control and ask for help, or you maybe just kind of shut off from receiving it, then that could be something that you might want to kind of look at and work through. The other thing that I have really been focusing on is alignment and letting go. And if you have been following me for any time at all, you will know that this is really the fundamental core of everything I teach. It's all about following your heart and being in alignment with your values and your vision and the things that you desire for yourself. And it's all about letting go of the things that are no longer in alignment, that don't serve you. And I've had to do this multiple times throughout my life in terms of, quitting my job and starting my business. That was one way in which I did this. I've done it through ending relationships, even ending friendships that just no longer feel aligned with where I'm at in my life. And I found myself needing to do it just this week. In fact, just this morning. So earlier today, I pressed send on a love note to my beautiful email tribe. To tell them that I'm closing the doors on my coaching business, which is a little bit strange because only a couple of weeks ago I was emailing them to tell them I was opening the doors back up for anyone that wanted to work with me. But I have made the decision to close the doors on my coaching business and to do that for good. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Firstly, I've just got to that place where I love coaching and I love my clients, but I'm no longer in love with my coaching business. I don't wake up excited to work in it or on it at all. Whereas with my doTERRA business, it completely sets my soul on fire, and teaching and sharing about these beautiful oils, coaching and mentoring a team of other people who want to do that too it's just what I'm made for. It is completely my purpose work. So you would think, with that in mind, that closing the doors on my coaching business is probably quite an easy decision, but it absolutely hasn't been. And for me, it's really because I've spent so much of my time getting to this place and creating this vision that I had for myself. I wanted to be able to work from home. I wanted to be able to work from anywhere. I wanted to help people. I wanted to teach and speak and share my truth. And I've been building this for 6 years. So letting go of it has actually been really, really difficult. And it's not because I hate it. I'm not miserable. I love the work I do. It's just no longer aligned. So it hasn't been an easy decision at all. And I think the lesson in this is that sometimes we need to let go of things that we have been holding on to just because we think we should, or because it's how we've always been doing it, or because it's what we've been working towards. And I guess what I really want you to take away from this is that if something doesn't feel aligned, it's okay to let go of that. It's okay to change direction. It's okay to change your mind. You don't need permission from anybody to do that. But it is this continual process of just evaluating what's going on in your life, what fits and what maybe doesn't feel quite right, and beginning to release that. Because when we release that, we open the door to receiving all the stuff that we do want to call in. So as you can see, all the lessons I've been learning are interlinked, as is always the case. But it's been a super interesting time, and I really just wanted to share those couple of things with you. So I hope that you found it helpful today. I hope that you kind of had some sort of takeaway. As I said, it was a little bit of a different episode, just because I wanted to share those couple of things with you. So I'm going to be back next week. I have already recorded an episode that I'm going to throw up next week for you. In terms of this podcast, I did a while back talk about how I wanted to start introducing more people and have guests on the show and interview and that kind of thing. And I did a couple of those and they were amazing. But I've kind of decided that's not really where I want to take the direction of this space and this platform. For me, this is a place where I can just show up and I can share the raw, unedited version of what's going on for me and what's on my heart and the conversations that I've been having and the kind of things that have come up, in the hope that it will just resonate with you and it will help you to continue to grow through whatever situations are going on in your life. So I'm going to kind of keep it just as me showing up in this space each week and talking about different things and different lessons and whatever's on my heart. But I am also going to reserve the right to throw in the occasional episode where I feature a guest, because every now and then I have the most amazing conversations with brilliant, beautiful, intelligent women that, I would love to share in this space. So they're not going to be like a regular thing, but do keep an eye out, because I will be definitely introducing some incredible people to you in the future. As always, thank you very much for being here today. I'm sorry if this has been a bit of a rambling episode, but we will be back to the normal schedule and the normal format next week. I hope that you have a beautiful week. You have been listening to Free to Flourish Radio. For the full show notes and all other episodes, just head to gemmasands.co.uk/podcast. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, do head over to iTunes to subscribe. I'd also be super grateful if you would leave a review. It makes the world of difference to me in this little project. And I will see you here next Friday for another episode.